This is the Friends of Recovery, dedicated to others, setting hearts free. We lift each other, we're living proof. The light is stronger when we know the truth.
All right, welcome back to the Friends of Recovery podcast. This week, Joe and I are joined by John. John, how are you?
I'm doing well this morning.
Well, it's great to have you here. And John and Joe, you guys have known each other for a while?
Yes, sir.
A couple of years, yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
We met at an AA meeting
Nice.
in Stamford, New York.
I've heard actually really good things about the Stanford meeting.
Yes, I'm currently the chairperson there for the last 3 terms.
Okay. How long is the term there?
It's 4 months at a time.
Okay. How's that experience been for you? Is that your first time being a chair for that amount of time?
No,
Or
it's not at all. I enjoy doing it. You know, service is key.
Yeah, very much
When
so.
someone doesn't want to do it and you get voted in because you seem to have a way, they tend to, and I do it for just to keep the group like solid.
Yeah.
So that's what I've learned over the years.
So how did you get involved in that group initially?
Well, it's a pretty interesting story. It's the first meeting I was ever taken to in 1986
Okay.
by a neighbor of mine who put together many years, and he recently passed away. But he
Very
brought me
good.
there, picked me up, and drove me to an original smoke-filled meeting with people with big beards, and that was kind of scary. But that was 1986 after I had a little event from driving.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled me out of a ditch, and then he brought me to a meeting a couple of months later.
Okay.
So that was my first meeting, and then I found my way back there, and I wound up about 6 years ago becoming my home group.
All right.
So I've been steady customer there since.
Well, nice.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about kind of the experience there, because if you've been going since 86 there, right? So that's coming up. How long has that meeting been going on?
Well, that was my first meeting,
Yeah.
and I did not continue in AA. That experience was very frightening, actually, at the time, because I had no clue about alcoholism
Mhm.
or that I was an alcoholic. I just went because I was taken there. Like the seed was planted, kind of.
Yeah.
We speak about.
Mhm.
But after that, I couldn't tell you until 6 years ago is when I made my re-entry to Stamford.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm based in Astoria, Queens.
Yeah.
Family brought up there, but I've had the place up here for 50 years. So I have two lives, kind of.
So what ended up bringing you back to that meeting 6 years ago?
Well, this time around, I'm currently working on a day at a time, 12 years.
Congratulations.
And I got serious this time about doing the program and doing a lot of service. I did it before over the years, but I didn't stay connected.
Yeah.
Had a lot of excuses, sponsor disappears, and just things, life in general. So this time around, I became a steady member. I felt super comfortable.
Mhm.
A lot of like-minded, serious sobriety. And I jumped right in, and the group actually took me in because they made me welcome. I took commitments. I helped other people with certain ways of getting the group running, like
Yeah.
old school kind of.
Yeah.
But and it's just a comfortable place, and you find a family there, family atmosphere.
That's very good. So what are some of the commitments that you find are really good for people maybe very new to the program or kind of going to some of their first meetings to kind of get them involved and a little bit more acclimated?
Okay. For me personally, the greeter
Yeah.
in the front door, it breaks the ice. It makes people get to know others,
Mhm.
Know that they're welcome. They find like-mindedness in certain people when they walk through the door just by a handshake.
Yep.
Coffee, obviously. Get there early, stay late, help clean up.
That's right.
And just hopefully you make good coffee, because otherwise you'll get reprimanded.
Right.
But that's part of it also.
Yeah.
Yeah, the meeting before the meeting and the meeting after the meeting.
Yeah, all of the things we were taught when we first came in, but we don't hear them lots of times. So, no, in 1990, that was my first commitment in Ditmars, Queens, in the Crescent Group, which is one of the oldest groups in Queens. And that's what I was taught from old school. Take that type of commitment,
Mhm.
and then you work your way up gradually when you feel comfortable to secretary, eventually chairperson, um, GSR. That's down the road, but you learn all these things, and it becomes part of your life.
Well,
Yeah.
John, I I think about when I first met you when you were coming up those stairs over there in Stamford when the meeting was in the other church.
Mhm.
And, you just had this way about you, you were serious, you were at peace, and you were there. You were in it.
Mhm.
You weren't around it, you were in it.
Yeah.
But what I really love about your recovery is all the other stuff that comes with it. You know, the animals. You're always sending me pictures of the animals. How you were able to help your mom. Just all those different things that, come with recovery when you're serious about it.
Right.
I'm always amazed when you send me the pictures of, there's a rabbit or a turkey or a deer. You never know what it's gonna be.
Yeah, that's what God puts before me. Makes me realize why I'm sober and what it has to offer me. Nature is definitely a huge factor in sobriety.
Mm.
I think everybody should take that into their body and soul. At least it's for me. It's a huge part of my life.
So
Yeah.
tell me something about it. What's your favorite animal that comes to visit you? Because I know you have so many
Wow.
of them.
I mean, right now I have a doe that I named her lawnmower because she used to eat all my plants when she was pregnant. So I just accepted it. And she's a regular, and she gives me the feeling of like you're okay today when she's looking 5 feet from me. And there's a few other. I have lots of very large rabbits that they normally don't get that big. If you know anything about cottontails, and
Mhm.
I just recently took a picture of one, and it looks like it's a dog laying out on the lawn, stretched out. There's lots of small creatures, and I actually have birds that come land on me, and I feed them out of my hand, and people
Wow.
can't believe it. Um, and I know for me, I have nothing to do with that except being there, and they sense something different.
Yeah.
And that's what AA has done for me. It's led me in that direction of spiritual life and just feeling also to tap into this. I've been a hunter all my life.
Mhm.
So I've been in the woods quite a bit. And I also have an artistic mind. I paint and I draw sometimes. So I've always watched how the creatures interact with each other. And I would almost try to do what they do in order to get close.
Yeah.
And it seems to work. And they sense that. So, I mean, sobriety has taken me down probably who God wants me to be. And I don't know what the end result's going to be. So,
That's very well put. So, especially if you're a painter, we have this recovery art show coming up in September.
hmm,
If you'd like to submit something to it, it's September 13th at the Oneana Foothills. It's put on by Fordu and Leaf here in Oneana. And I would love to see some of your work in that.
well, I don't have too many, but I do have a couple.
Okay.
I didn't totally get rid of procrastination. So I have an easel set up now it's got all of the essentials right next to it,
Yeah.
but the palette is empty. And I have lots of people sending. They want me to create what they send me, photos from Italy and
Oh, really?
yeah, well, yeah, they want me. They ask me if I'm professionally trained.
Are you?
No,
Was this a talent that you had before sobriety?
yes, it is.
Okay.
I used to draw and paint when I was a little kid all day long. Um, I could look back at that now and say that was part of my alcoholism.
Mhm.
and one of my isms of fear of being out in the world,
Yeah.
or just who I am I would like to walk alone in a lot of ways. But I can look back now at that type of stuff and say, wow, that's something to that. It's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
It's just who maybe I'm becoming again. So I do have a talent for, and it makes you feel like you're giving back to people when you make them smile, and
Oh,
they go,
yeah.
"How do you do that?" And I'm a super blessed person in that area. With I've engaged in lots of things
Mhm.
in creating and going and doing, um, and people know, how do you know how to do all these things? I just did them, and you take that with you wherever you go.
Yeah. Yep.
And, it's just like AA. When you're in AA and a member, you learn from other people who came before you, and then you take what you've learned, and in a general way, you give it to whoever identifies with you. It just makes it easier for me to do what I'm called to do while I'm in AA.
Yeah. Giving away what was so freely given to us, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Yep.
That brings me to retreats. I know that you're very proactive in your group's retreat.
Mhm.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. So 12 years ago, when I made the commitment and admitted that I was an alcoholic, everything fell into place. Got a sponsor, was going through the steps with him. Um, Mind you, that this particular person partied with my sister when they were children, and I didn't know it at the time. So he was the chair. He was like the coordinator in the Sag Harbor Matt Talbot retreats, and they said, "You're coming." So I've been going twice a year since. I get there early. I carry people's bags in. I show them how it all goes, and um, I, I'm honest about it. I don't know what I get from it when I go now, but I go there because it's something that I've been taught to do, and you never know who you're going to get to take the next 12 years,
Right. Yeah, for real.
and
Mm.
that's what happens there. And you meet amazing people that come in to be that will run for the men there
Mhm.
who come up and talk about his life. And we just had his name was Kevin, and he was a world known tattoo artist
Okay.
that became a Buddhist.
All right.
And he was so interesting for me. And my sponsee was in the front, and well, I'm looking at him going, "Have we been doing Buddhism learning?" Because I felt like that's the connection that I've had while I was there. So obviously AA is doing something, or God's doing for me what I can't do for myself. It was really if you were to ask me if I'm going to go to a Buddhist kind of guy thing,
Mhm.
I probably would say, I don't know about I want to go about that. So, I mean, I just to tap on to I went on a Crescio.
What is that?
And a Crescio is, I'm pretty sure in Latin it means crash course in Christianity.
Okay.
And I was asked to go in early sobriety, and I turned it down because I was afraid. I'm not ready. And some years later, they asked me to go again. And you go for 3 days it's hard to even explain. You go there and you're intensely working for like 3 complete days, seeing things. You work so much and you have so many things going on. I
Yeah.
mean, I really actually had a moment like that where I saw something, and I asked one of the brothers, and the guy next to me, what I had seen, he started crying when the brother told him what I saw in a statue of a Romanian nun.
Okay.
I had seen her frowning and smiling while I was exhausted, probably having a spiritual moment. And I asked, what does she represent? And the brother, the person I asked, he didn't know. He was just he was called an angel, who he helps guide, like a sponsor with a group of men that he's just sitting at the table with. So I asked him, "What does she represent?" And he says, "I don't know." And they called one of the older brothers that lives there, and he said that she was brutally attacked and more. Just imagine. And then when she found God of her understanding, Jesus Christ, she went back to forgive them and became a nun. So I was seeing on the statue frowning and smiling on her face. I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
And without even knowing what it was, I was seeing her pain and then joy while I was there.
Mm.
That's real. To me, it was real.
Mhm.
That's what I had seen.
I like that you brought up the Buddhism thing too. We do a group here called Recovery Dharma that pairs surprisingly well a lot of the mindful actions, thoughts, words. I mean, pairs with the steps, like really one for one. Especially there's a section in that book that talks about resentments and how we're clearing our own conscience. And I feel like some of the stuff I've heard about clearing your own side of the streets, I was like, man, this is really like one for one here. This is
True.
Yeah.
That's what I was feeling on the retreat
yeah.
with Kevin. Very much the identification with what you're saying.
So tell me a little bit about was it Matt Talbot retreat
Yes,
you said?
yes.
I've heard shares here and there kind of about these retreats. I don't know a whole lot about them. What's kind of the format and the flow of something like that?
Okay, so Matt Talbot was an Irishman,
Mhm.
and he was brought up in Dublin, and he had a big family, bunch of poor potato famine drinkers, worked in factories.
Yeah.
And he decided to, he took a break, and he would started going to church, and he would wear chains. He would sleep with a rock as a pillow. He would eat only small amounts of food, and he was doing I forgot the word,
Like a penance almost?
he went on
Or-
the wagon, kind of.
Gotcha.
But it has another term in the Irish language. Anyway, and he became this God-filled, like, church every day, just doing good for all the people around him, and he
Mhm.
would give of himself, and that was his life of service to people who he was hoping they would stop and find God.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just generalizing. I know a little bit more about it, but it's not coming to my brain as
Fair.
quickly. And then they're trying to make him into have him canonized as a saint,
Oh wow.
and it's taking a long time for whatever reason, maybe because he was a drunk, and the powers that be that they choose who they want to maybe put in.
Right.
But yeah, it's been going on for a long time. Where I go, they started in 1948. It's Sag Harbor Call Maria, and it was donated by a rich family to the nuns, and they turned it into a retreat house for men and women. And that's where Matt Talbot has it. There's more than one location,
Mm.
but that's where I've been going.
Okay. Now are these like weekend retreats? Are they week long?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get there, you check in at like 3 on a Friday,
Okay.
and then there's a itinerary that will be given out where what's all done, and you have meetings all weekend, and you eat together, and you have time to be by yourself outside. It's right on Sag Harbor, which is a beautiful thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
bring my fishing pole.
Oh
personally.
yeah.
And I entertain, and nobody does that but me.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that goes
Really?
swimming.
Okay.
I go in the water. They
Yeah,
go,
I'm the
"What, are
only
you
one that goes
crazy?"
swimming at my retreat too.
Really?
I'm like, I don't get it. You're here. Like,
Yeah. Enjoy
Go
it.
in.
Yeah.
so that's who I am. I'm the first person to take my shoes off to do something.
Now, were you like that before sobriety as well, or were you a bit more reserved?
I used to have a nickname, Father John, growing up. Don't do that. It's wrong. I have it's hard to tell your life experience like in a short time like this.
Yeah.
But, I was a good boy, heavy into sports. Great athlete, I would say. That's what I was told. I had a scholarship for all of those type things, and I was in the right direction.
Mhm.
I didn't actually get drunk until I was 17. There was a woman involved. You know, it was the typical goes together, that kind of excitement
Yeah.
of like, wow, you know, there's more to playing sports and staying home and being a good boy.
Right.
So, and I was the last guy out of my childhood friends to turn that way. And I was walking alone. You know, I can remember very vividly right now. I played hockey, and I would be playing under the lights by myself in the park, shooting my puck into a net. If you could envision, like just a round dome light hitting that part of the
Yeah.
park and arena.
Mhm.
And I would be doing that until dad would whistle, it's time to come up.
Okay.
You know, and then my friends would be sitting on the stoop,
Yeah.
and I would go, man, I had no clue, you know, really but I knew that they were smoking cigarettes and,
Mhm.
you know, into that older lifestyle, I would say.
Correct. Yeah.
And they used to ask me to go get beer for us. You got skates, you're quick, go get them and come back. And I did that. And then I would go upstairs, you know. And I don't know if that had, I just thought it was wrong,
Mhm.
but something changed. In Fleischman's, New York, I was up here for graduation time, and there was a girl I liked. I think during those graduation parties was the first time I drank too much, and I got sick. Obviously,
Yeah.
swore I'd never do it again, and I hid it from my dad. And but it's very vivid for me that beginnings now of my what I know now was you know, spiral down.
Mhm.
So I mean, there's so much we could all talk about our journey.
Mm. Well, you know, John, my observation of you and the time that I've known you is that you're a doer. So you like to get out and do stuff, and service is very important to you. I noticed, when you came around Fordu, like this is all new, this kind of stuff. When we were kids, there was no
Hmm.
Fordu or any place like it.
Hmm.
So what do you think about the stuff that goes on around here?
Well, I've been to this particular office and meeting space probably 10 times. You know, when I would go shopping, I knew there was a meeting, and I would see it. It was open to any type of person that needed help,
Mm.
whether they knew it or not. It was just a safe place for them to come,
Yeah.
and they could come in here and have somebody like give them some comfort. Just sit down. There's a meeting coming up. Here's a person you could speak to.
Mhm.
Here's a
Yeah.
little snack for you, and we're going to be here if we need you, or if you need us. I would say sorry,
Yeah.
but and that's what, you know, when you walk through the door, that's what I see when I come through the back door. I mean, maybe because I'm experienced that I observe that, and the newcomer may not see what I see, but they see like just the nice atmosphere when you walk in. The friendly people will shake your hand. Now they got the thing that they want you to put your name down. I'm like, what's this? Oh, you know my name? So, you know, I'm used to that. Wherever I've gone, people know who I am before
Yeah.
from my life, you know, that I lived in New York City, Astoria, Queens, and
Mhm.
just my life in general was people know me, and I don't know who you are.
Yep. I can identify with that a little
Yeah.
bit.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's a super welcoming place. It has a history of helping lots of people. I very rarely have heard anyone say anything like, I don't want to go back.
Mhm.
"Oh, there's a meeting there. Let's go."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I've brought others here over the years, people that would stay with me upstate. An ex-girlfriend, we would come here because we knew it was. We'd go to lunch and come by,
Yeah.
um, and knew that there was a place where you could come and listen
Yeah. It's nice.
to sobriety, and you know, doors were always open.
Mhm.
Well, we got some nice stuff coming up this summer. We're going to have our Freedom Ride on August 2nd. So hopefully you'll come join us. We got some cool t-shirts and some great food is going to be catered by
And
Fat
music.
Boys. Yeah, live music. It's going to be a good time, man.
Well, I am going to try to come. So my schedule depends on my caretaking duties of my parent.
Yes.
My last living parent is with me. She's 89, just told you, 89 years old this week.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. She's an amazing lady, especially to deal with me for 64 years. But yeah, I mean, that's my duty. That's my, you give back.
Yeah.
Living amends.
Yeah.
That's always talked about in our sobriety. You don't realize it at the time, but that's what they want.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what the people that love you want. They want you to just stay sober.
That is absolutely the greatest gift
Mm-hmm.
that, we receive when we get clean and sober. Just being present for my family.
Yeah. I'll say something about when 5 years ago when I brought Mom up here because she couldn't do the family apartment for 60 years.
Oh yeah.
And it was 4 flights and it was too much for both of us. And she couldn't do it. And when she got up here, when we brought some boxes, there was a letter in there from my father from 1990, unopened, addressed to me. And I was like full of fear
Yeah.
because he passed away. And I felt this like intense, when I touched it, I could feel some kind of power in it. And I was afraid to read it, what was going to be said. And I let other people read it first. I wanted to know if it was safe for me to read.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just written by my dad, who never spoke, comes from a rough life, and a Brooklyn guy, and moved all over New York City. And it just said, the opening line, it was a whole page, but it talked about, we just want you to stay sober. And that's the greatest gift you could give to us. And he goes, you're the creator of all your own problems. And I'll stop right there.
Wow.
Amazing, like how he couldn't speak to me like that, but he wrote this and he's gone now. It's 10 years now. And I could think back of like, what a great man he was. Just couldn't verbalize it because of his life.
What a blessing he was able to get it written out, though.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And that you're able to live it.
Yeah.
And I have that in a photo album. I have it on these big like cellophane packed type things. And I have it right there. And I haven't looked at it in a long time. But I feel it's important I brought that to a meeting and I read it to my home group. And it makes their mouths open.
Oh yeah.
Because of that open experience that you can get from people who lived through active alcoholism along with your family.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know for me when I have Dad's ashes right next to my bed, and I talk to him, and I think now so much what he had done for me and what the family disease part of it is, but yet never gave up.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story. Thank you so much, John,
You're welcome.
for coming in and sharing with us. So like Joe said, we do have the Freedom Ride coming up August 2nd. You can register for that online right now or on the Facebook. And then August 30th is going to be the Rothenberger Run. This is, I think we nailed this down. It's the 8th annual Rothenberger Run in Niwa Park here in Oneana on August 30th. And then September 13th at the Foothills in Oneana. At the very end of the City of the Hills Festival, we will have the Recovery Art and Poetry Show. So if you'd like to submit any written word or paintings to that, you don't have to submit the physical painting. You can just take a picture of it. There's a Google form, and just feel free to shoot us a line if you're having any issues with that, and we can get anything that you'd like to submitted. And that'll be at 5 p.m. at the Oneana Foothills on September 13th. Guys, thank you again, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.